Hello, hi there, how are you? I do hope you're doing well. It's been a little while. I didn't realise, but it's been like a good few weeks since I posted something. And I usually start off with an Am I the A-hole? But today I kind of just don't want to. So there you go. We're going to just jump right in and look at r/advice today. No a-hole evaluations, well, maybe. But we're looking at the advice subreddit. So let's just get in. I found my brother cheating with his fiancée. With his fiancée or on his fiancée? Because how can you cheat on your fiancée? Let's find out. My brother is going to get married this coming June. He has a lovely fiancée, which we love the most. I treat her as my big sister. I even get along with her more than my brother. Yesterday, I found my brother cheating on her with one of their circle friends. I confronted and fight with him, but he asked me not to tell his fiancée because he knows she's going to leave him. He said I will ruin everything if I will tell her and we will all lose her in our life. I don't want to lose her. She is my buddy and everything. I run always on her for advice and everything, but my conscience can't handle it. She don't deserve my stupid brother, but I also don't want to hurt her. Any advice? It's not you that's hurting her, it's your brother. It's the fiancé who cheated on her. Like, see this whole thing with like shooting the messenger, and if you're the one that like told someone about something, or if you're the one that like let someone find out, then you're the bad person and you're the one that's causing the harm. It's total bullshit. It's the person who did whatever the hurtful thing is, i.e. cheating, that causes the harm. It's not like, oh, if you don't know about it, then they won't get hurt. Like, if you don't know about it, it just makes you like even more devious and horrible, to be honest. So yeah, tell her. And sure, maybe you might lose her from your life, but to be honest, this is something we've talked about before in the past. If she doesn't think that your relationship, like with OP, stands up on its own, and if breaking up with her fiance, i.e. OP's brother, is going to mean that they don't speak anymore, then that's kind of bullshit in itself. Like, that just kind of shows that you didn't really have your own relationship in the first place, and she was just talking to you because you were a relative of her fiance. Do you know what I mean? But if you're actually friends, and if, you know, she actually cares for you, then you'll still be able to have your own relationship regardless of what happens with the fiance/brother. So that's my advice. Tell her, because I think that's what a real friend would do. So if you really think you're friends, tell her. And let the chips fall where they may. Next one. This has to be a red flag. I, a 20-year-old female, am in the talking stages with a man who's 25-year-old male. We've not went out on a date yet, but he's already calling me his future wife. First it was pet names like hello beautiful. Now he full on just texted me, when am I seeing my future wife? This is a big red flag, right? Or is he just being sweet? No, that's not sweet. That's fucking creepy. That's like too familiar. Like, see when someone like interacts with me as if we're like the fucking best of friends and that we're super close, when I actually just fucking met them, or in this case I haven't even met them at all. That's like stepping over a boundary for me. I don't like people who get too familiar and think that they can just cozy up to you out of fucking nowhere. Like, it's different if two people just get along with each other really well from the start. Like, you don't know why, but you just have this great connection, and, you know, in that sense, you get really close really quickly. But in this case, it doesn't seem to be the situation. And I think that, regardless of what anybody else thinks, whether or not they think it's a red flag, you think it's a red flag, so you're clearly made uncomfortable by this kind of behaviour. So if you don't like it, then, do you know what I mean? I don't think there's anything else to say there. If you don't like it, that's all that matters, you know? I'm interested to see what the comments say. Red flag, he's gearing up to love bomb you. Possibly, but not necessarily. To go from crawling to in a bullet train in such a short amount of time sounds like obsession, which is not ideal to say the least. Again, possibly, not necessarily. Definitely a red flag. Save yourself future grief and cut it off now. And also be politely honest with him about it, as it seems to us that this is weird, but some people really don't understand that. If no one tells him, he'll likely continue doing this to people. But is it your fucking responsibility to be the one? Do you know what I mean? Because what's that going to bring on yourself? Like, I've talked about this before. I feel like I've talked about everything at some point or another. But do you know that way where it's like, if someone is being creepy to you, sure, you could say maybe they don't realise they're being creepy, like maybe you should just tell them and give them the opportunity to stop being creepy. But it gets to the point where you've given people the benefit of the doubt so many times just for it to be like, oh no, you actually are just a creep, or you just fucking don't give a shit, or you are trying to like make me feel uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? Or like they give you abuse for it. It's just not fucking worth it. Like, as I say, it's not your responsibility to educate that person. Like, if you want to give them that gift, then that's completely your choice. That's up to you, and good for you for doing it. But you also don't have to. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's whatever you feel comfortable with, and I feel like continuing the conversation is not something that you feel comfortable with. So yeah, these two have been really short. Wife thinks I'm cheating. As per the title, my wife, who's a 30-year-old female, is adamant that she caught me, 32-year-old male, cheating. How, may you ask? Well, I was playing a game before work whilst having my coffee. She came into the room, which isn't unusual, and is adamant that she saw a chat box on my screen over the game, not within the game, with some text saying something about my love. She says I suddenly closed it when I noticed her. Now, I have no idea what she's talking about. I was clicking rapidly on my game as I was knocking out a farm run on OSRS, Old School RuneScape. Even if there was a chat box, which there wasn't, it would not be over my game, as if you click a window that's on top of another, the window you clicked would be in front of the other. I tried explaining this to no avail, and she is still adamant that she saw something there. I love her to death, that's why I married her. She's my world, and it feels like it's all crumbling down around me. She has all my passwords to everything, as I have nothing to hide, and like knowing that she can access anything in case of an emergency, or if I need her to do something for me whilst I'm at work. I'm in shambles, and honestly getting close to my breaking point with other things going on in my life. How am I supposed to prove my innocence? I'm really struggling to think of how to reconcile this. Any advice would be greatly appreciated, thanks. I mean, that doesn't seem like a fucking good sign, that she seems to be so paranoid. I would say either she has trust issues for whatever reason, and we're only getting OP's side of things, so maybe she has trust issues because of other things you've done in the past, maybe she has trust issues because of other things somebody else has done in the past, or third, let's not discount it, maybe she's having trust issues because she has actually been doing something that she shouldn't be, and now she's fucking paranoid and seeing it everywhere. Do you know what I mean? When people like fucking project themselves onto somebody else. If someone is cheating on their partner, then they start thinking their partner's cheating on them because they're paranoid and they're guilty. They want to push the blame. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely think there's something else going on there. I mean, you've already given her all your passwords and stuff like that. It sounds as if that was like regardless of this situation. I don't like it when people like say like, oh, just you're not compatible, break up, or this is like irreconcilable breakup. But I honestly, like, I wouldn't really know what to do in this situation, because it's like, if you can't trust me that, look, it was nothing, and even like sometimes people use pet names like my love, like, oh, how are you doing, my love, you know, what are your plans today, my love. Some people like have relationships like that, and I'm not just talking like romantic relationships, but like friendships where they call each other stuff like that. So even if that message did appear, it could be totally fine, but as OP said, it didn't appear. So like, it's kind of like an innocent until proven guilty type thing. You can't prove that you didn't do something because there would be no evidence of it. Like, for example, you know, you see these pictures of people saying like, oh, I ordered from this delivery service, but it didn't arrive, and now they want me to prove that it didn't arrive. How are you supposed to prove that it didn't arrive? So you get these people taking pictures of like empty hands, empty plates, nothing on their front doorstep. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't really think there's anything that you can do to convince her. I think this is something else. There's something else going on, and I'm like a big advocate of addressing the root cause instead of the symptoms, and this feels like a symptom. Even if it's like the first time something like this has happened, I just feel like, why would you be so like suspicious in the first place? Why would you, you know, be so adamant that somebody's cheating on you just because of one thing you thought that you saw, which you've, I'm assuming, never been able to find again. Yeah, so I don't really know what to tell you, to be honest. Has anyone else said something interesting? Yeah, looks like she's projecting or looking for an excuse to catch you. She's been suspicious of you already. Exactly. If she doesn't believe you after that, you'll have bigger issues at hand. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say too. I hope someone gives you a good answer. Oh, you mentioned in a comment that she's been cheated on before. Speaking from experience, being cheated on can definitely make a person highly suspicious. Sounds like this is a problem on her end. Yeah, it does. You know what? There's nothing to prove. If you are innocent, then I think the most normal reaction to her actions should be anger. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying get angry and argue, but it's not right to accuse someone of something that you haven't done just because of their projections, even if it is your partner. Apologising and being too understanding makes you seem guilty even though you aren't. I can see that. I can tell you love her very dearly, which is why you're being so understanding of her. But right now, more than words, the subliminal messages of how you act will reassure her of your innocence. Also, give it some time and she will reflect and hopefully apologise for accusing you of cheating. This is advice from a girl with trust issues. So do with it what you want, and hopefully you guys resolve this one way or another. I can kind of see where you're coming from. Like, if you're being falsely accused of something, the normal reaction would be to get angry. But I think that also, if you are guilty of it, also a normal reaction would be to get angry, because you're so like, you know, you're so in the lie, you're so wanting to convince them that you're not guilty, even though you fucking know you are. So you go in 10 times harder than them to make them feel bad and manipulate them into like feeling bad that they accused you. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not quite sure about that, to be honest, but I do kind of agree that, like, don't be overly apologetic. Don't be like overly trying to prove yourself, because at the end of the day, she can believe you or she doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like in a good relationship, your word should be enough, and here it obviously isn't enough. So yeah, dig deeper and find out what's going on there. Next one. Is there something wrong with me? I don't know whether to call it social anxiety, but there are some things about myself that I don't understand. I, 30-year-old female, get very, very reluctant to make plans with people I don't know very much. When I get home, I would want to rest and do not like having plans after work. When I do have plans with a friend, I'm anxious before, I dread it, and I hope that it gets cancelled. It's like I don't have the energy, or battery as I like to call it, to socialise and make small talk for more than an hour. However, if I meet someone by chance and we get talking, I enjoy this. Furthermore, this makes me come off to people that I don't like them. I don't want them to feel like this, but I feel embarrassed being honest and saying that I don't like making plans, because it seems like I'm lazy and don't want to invest in a friendship, when in fact it kills me knowing I have something planned and I dread it. In fact, I only have a few close friends which I meet willingly, because we will be comfortable in silence and I don't have to make an effort to speak or impress or be someone I'm not. Also, with my boyfriend, we can hang out and just be ourselves, and I feel comfortable. The same with my family. I feel very comfortable with them and hang out with them willingly and have a nice time. I noticed this happened a few years ago when every Thursday I used to go over to a friend's to hang out. She was very nice, but she used to spend so much time talking, sometimes even till 1 a.m. when I used to have to work the next day, that I stopped wanting to hang out because it just really tired me out mentally, and I liked her very, very much. I regret this. She probably thinks I started to dislike her and wanted to cut her off, which wasn't the case at all. Am I not a good friend? Am I not a good person? Should I be honest with people when I tell them what's really up? I feel like they will think it's a silly excuse, but really it's not. Edit, there are sometimes days where I don't want to cook, wash dishes or shower. On the contrary, there are days where I'm very productive. I also love children, and in grown-up or family events, I always interact and enjoy it more with the kids than the adults. I don't know if someone's been commenting about that. There's only 2 comments, so I don't know why you want to bring that up, but fair enough. What was the question? Is there something wrong with you? No, there's not something wrong with you. Plenty of people have social anxiety. Plenty of people have like low battery, as you want to call it, low energy, not many spoons, or it costs them a lot of energy, battery, spoons, to do certain things that don't cost other people as much. So no, there's not anything wrong with you. What it kind of sounds like is that, one, surely you don't work every single fucking day, so I'm not really seeing why like you not wanting to do stuff after work has to be an issue. You just say like, oh, I'm so super tired during the week after work, can we meet on Saturday, or are you free on Sunday, like what are you doing then, or oh, I'm off on this day. Like, I think that is the way that you show someone, look, I'm not just like palming you off. I do actually want to hang out with you, but just that day doesn't work for me. A way to, show them that is to suggest another time, to proactively say, how about we do this or whatever, rather than it always being them having to suggest something. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Also, like, if you think your friends are the kind of people that are gonna like laugh you off if you say, look, it's just sometimes I just like can't bring myself to do stuff, or I'm so tired after work, or actually like I have social anxiety, so sometimes I just can't. If your friends are the type of people that are gonna like make you feel like ridiculous for that, or gonna like treat you in a bad way or say something mean to you, they're not your fucking friends, and they're not the kind of people that you should be wanting to hang out with in the first place. Do you know what I mean? With your friend who just fucking talks and talks and talks, like, to me this is like a boundary thing. Why don't you just say at some point, I'm getting tired, I'm gonna head off, like, take care, see you later. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to sit there for hours until she stops talking. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see why that's necessary. Don't get me wrong, there are times where like the conversation is flowing, or someone's like is just talking and talking and talking, and you want to like wait for a gap to be like, well, I think I'm gonna head off now. Like, you want to wait for that gap in the conversation or whatever. But like sometimes you just gotta be like, more practiced at finding like a smaller gap in the conversation, like just a slight pause, just to be like, well, on that note, do you know what I mean? Because it's not fair on you, and I don't think it's necessarily expected of you to just sit there and like take it when it doesn't seem like something you particularly enjoy. And as well, just because that happens with someone one time doesn't mean that you then can never ever see them again. Like, why does this person now think that you don't want to be friends with them just because of that one time where they went on and on a little bit more? Like, I think there's nothing wrong with you, but I do think that you're seeing this like in quite a narrow way. Like, you're not really looking at other options or other possibilities. So yeah, don't be afraid to be honest with yourself and other people. Don't be afraid to attend to your own needs. And like, if sometimes you don't feel good enough to like go and do something, then it's okay to say, like, look, I'm actually not feeling too great today, can we rearrange? That's okay too. Do you know what I mean? And again, you don't have to always do stuff after work. You can do stuff on a day that you're not working, or like during the day on the weekend or something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, but I do think, there's some stuff that you could do differently. Next, I feel drained and don't really want to talk to my biological adopted half-sister. How can she be your biological adopted half-sister? What the fuck does that mean? Let's find out. I'm 25-year-old female, have an 18-year-old half-sibling who was adopted as a baby. I'm trying to process this. She's recently gotten into contact. So wait, hang on. Are you the biological half-sibling of this person who was then adopted by another family? Or are you part of the adopted family? I'm guessing you're part of the biological family who gave her up for adoption. I'm just going to assume that until it's clarified. So she's recently gotten in contact, which I was super excited about at first, but now I just don't want to talk again. I'm depressed and I don't enjoy talking much. Talking with my sister is draining me a lot and I just want to escape. I feel so bad. Basically, my mum left us and became a drug addict and had another kid who she arranged to put up for adoption. Our mum died a month later. She has had an awful start in life and I feel so bad for her. When she was born with no diagnosis, but her family thinks she has a few things. She has parents who gave her the world, money, buying her cars, travelling, inheritance from her adopted grandparents. She said they'd given her so much money and so pretty much sorted and doesn't have to get a job, and her parents provide and support her fully. She doesn't pay any bills or food. She only has to buy her own clothes. Then she's known me a month, we haven't met, and is telling me she wants to just run away and come live with me forever and leave them, and how she hates them, and how her dad's so annoying because he stutters and sneezes. Like, what? Then calling her friend a coward because she won't run away with her. We grew up poor with very little, and we had basically no emotional support, no money, alcoholic parent who was always emotionally absent. She complains everything is boring and hates living there and hopes she gets kicked out of there, and she hopes she gets kicked out of her house, and feels like they're just people who support her and give her somewhere to live. Girl, you're mean. I've never been adopted, so I just don't fully understand, which I feel bad about. Don't feel bad about it. It's what it is. She's constantly asking me to call her and is overall clingy. I feel so bad. When we meet, she is staying at my house for a night, but I don't know if I want that anymore. But I can't let her down as she's so scared that I cancel on her. How do you know that? And it's not your responsibility. Anyway. And she's also recording her video calls. And she's never mentioned it to me. She doesn't know I know. Then how do you know that she does that? She's so amazing in ways and is very creative. I just feel a bit overwhelmed with the drama of everything. She begs to stay up all night and always wanting to dare me to do things. And how old is she? She's 18 years old. OP is 25 years old. You're fucking old enough to not be doing that. Like, it sounds like you're fucking 12 or 13, honestly. She begs to stay up all night and wants to dare me to do things, and I honestly just don't want to. I know she's emotionally unstable and I just don't know what to do. I'm drained and just not enjoying talking to her at all. I'm the first biological family member she's spoken to, and she's telling me she has never loved anyone as much as this. It's a shame. I feel like an asshole. Am I? Unsure on what the right thing is to do. Girl, she's too fucking much. Too fucking much. Like, I mean, she's like bitching about people in her life who have given her everything, it sounds like, based on what you said, which can only be based on what she's told you, right? She sounds like she's fucking like ungrateful, unappreciative of those people, doesn't seem to like them very much, which, fine, if you don't like them, it's one thing, but if they're like supporting you so much and you're like, oh yeah, they just support me, they only support, like, girl, a lot of people would love to have someone who just support them. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not cool. And then being like super clingy, someone recording your video conversations and not telling them, that's fucking weird. And I believe in some places that's actually legal. But why would you even want to do that apart from to like watch back at another point? That's fucking weird. To like beg you to like stay up with her all the time, like talking to her, beg you to run away with her. That's fucking weird. You've never even met this person, right? You might, share some DNA, but that don't mean shit, really. Like, this is too much. It's clearly making you uncomfortable. You don't want to continue. You don't want to do it, but you're feeling guilty because she had a bad start in life. Well, she's fucking doing fine now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand you feeling bad and feeling a bit guilty, but it doesn't mean that you need to take on everything that she hands to you. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to take on all her baggage, all her issues. You don't have to like be just another person who's supporting her, because she already seems fucking ungrateful to the people who are currently supporting her. Do you know what I mean? Like, why should you be responsible for this 18-year-old adult and like fucking run away with someone that you've never even fucking met? That's weird. That is really fucking weird. And sure, maybe it is a shame for her, but that's not your responsibility. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have your own boundaries and that she shouldn't be respecting them. Do you know what I mean? If it were me, I would just be like, look, this is all a bit fucking too much for me, to be honest. Like, I'm still happy to meet you on this date like we agreed, but I think that maybe you shouldn't stay over because it's all a very intense, and I think we need to slow down a bit. So happy to still meet you, but I would feel a lot more comfortable if you didn't stay here. Just be really honest, let her know. And if she fucking freaks out at you for that, then better now than when she's in your fucking house digging through your underwear drawer. Do you know what I mean? Like, so are you the asshole? No, you're not. What's the right thing to do? Be honest with her and set clear boundaries. Which I know is easier said than done, but you gotta at least try to do it, because like it's similar but different. So what was it we were just fucking talking about? Like, that person who was being creepy, like calling them the future wife. Whilst it's not your responsibility to tell someone what and why their behaviour is unacceptable, I do think it's your responsibility to properly communicate your own boundaries. And if you don't do that effectively, then you can't expect somebody to respect boundaries that they very well don't know actually exist. Do you know what I mean? So even though it's hard to set boundaries, I struggle with it too a lot. you have to at least try, or else how's anything gonna change? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Next one. Oh, married but also have feelings for my gay best friend. I, male, have been married for 9 years to my awesome partner who's a female. Recently, I've developed feelings for my gay best friend who's a female. My best friend stated dating a woman. My best friend started dating a woman, and I'm having a hard time dealing with it all. I want to tell her, but I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to distance myself from her, so I need to find a way to cope. You've not asked the question, so I don't really know what to fucking tell you. This seems like bad territory. I mean, regardless of how it all happened, how it developed in the first place, like, I mean, you've not even said how you feel about your partner apart from the fact that they're awesome. But do you still want to be with your partner? Do you still have feelings for your partner? When you say I want to tell her but don't want to ruin anything, tell who? Tell your wife, or sorry, your partner? Yeah, you're married, so and to married to a female, so it must be your wife. Yeah, like, are you talking about telling your wife but you don't want to ruin the marriage, or are you talking about you want to tell your friend but you don't want to ruin your friendship? I think what would be the advantage? What would be the benefit of telling either of those people? What is there to gain from that? Do you know what I mean? Is it because you just really want to be honest? Do you want to be open about things, and that in itself is the goal? Is it because you want to pursue it? Is it because I don't fucking know, like, why do you want to do it in the first place, you know? And this is something that you're going to have to fucking deal with one way or another, but you're saying that you don't want to distance yourself from your friend. Like, I think you fucking have to, because you can't be like, I have feelings for someone, so I'm going to continue spending, like, a good amount of fucking time with them. Like, I don't think that's a fucking good idea, to be honest. Like, I just think this can only end in disaster if that's the way you go and play it. Because, like, finding a way to cope, how, like, unless you distance yourself from her, either emotionally or physically or whatever, how can you get over someone or something without creating any distance? I have a feeling you don't want to get over it. I have a feeling that, and I'm just completely, like, pulling this out of my ass, do you know what I mean? But I have a feeling that what your perfect scenario would be is that you would tell your friend, oh, I've got feelings for you, and she would be like, wow, oh my god, I thought I was gay, but I'm actually not, because I fucking want to be with you, a man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds as if that would be the only thing to gain in this situation, to be honest. Like, no, I don't think that's cool. What would I do in that situation? Well, I couldn't imagine myself being in that situation first and foremost, because it's not something that I've experienced. It's not something that my brain, like, I just don't work that way. If people are unavailable, then they're unavailable. But anyway, and equally, if I'm unavailable, then I'm unavailable, right? What would I do in this situation? I would distance myself from the friend just for a little while, and I wouldn't start being mean to them or whatever. Just be like, hey, like talk to them a little bit less, be less proactive with, like, talking to them and meeting up with them. And then if after it's been a while and you think, this is starting to look suspicious, or if they ask you, like, hey, how come, whatever, you just say, actually, I'm kind of going through some personal stuff right now, like, you haven't done anything, it's just, yeah, I'm going through some stuff, I just need a bit of time to deal with it. So you're not lying, but you're also not being like, I have feelings for you. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would do. Just until I felt a bit more fucking in control of the situation. Do you know what I mean? And that way, you know, you're still telling her the truth, you're explaining to her the situation, you are being honest in the fact that it's, you know, she's not done anything. Don't say it's nothing to do with you, because it is something to do with you. But do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's how I would handle it. Not that you've asked, but you posted it in advice, so. Last one. Oh my. Last one. Me, 23-year-old male, and my girlfriend's, who's a 23-year-old female, her roommate, who's a 22-year-old male, wants to be our slave. So me and my girlfriend live with one of my longtime friends in an apartment together. It's a pretty good... so he's both of your roommates. Okay. It's a pretty good setup so far, but recently he proposed to us that he be our servant. We asked what he'd do, and he said he'd take care of most of the chores, cook for us, rub our feet, etc. We took it well, but were a little weirded out at first, just because we never knew he might be bi. He told us he'd been kind of submissive. Okay, so he's one of your longtime friends. Okay. He told us he'd been kind of submissive as a fetish, but I guess we were surprised he'd ask us since we're friends and we have a living arrangement. We're a little bit stuck about how to go about this though. We're open-minded people and we've considered having a third, but I'm not really sure that's what our friend is looking for. The more we thought about it, it would be kind of hot to have him willingly doing these things for us. My girlfriend likes the idea of him massaging our feet and treating us. I just don't know what ramifications this would have in our friendship, and since this is at least another year of living here, I wouldn't want to make things weird, but we're not entirely against it. Give me advice. I just want to read what this one person has said. Oof, tough one. Honestly, I think if you guys didn't look at him in the third way before, this is not going to end well. It may be different, but to me it sounds like the two of you never considered what he's asking for, and now you kind of want him to fit into a thing you've just considered. Looks to me that all parties here will be accepting something in a way, and that's not the best way to treat either intimate relationship or a fetish slave. To be accepting? Why is being accepting not good? I'm clearly misunderstanding something here. Would personally stay clear and tell my friend exactly that, in a way that makes him not feel small or ridiculed. I'd be super focused on showing that you're still cool and not think that it's sufficient to just tell. I don't know what that means. Good luck. Okay, what's my assessment of the situation? So it sounds like you never really thought about having a slave or a servant, but now that you think about it, yeah, that might be kind of cool. It's been mentioned like in a sexual context, but is it actually a sexual thing? I'm no expert on this, but allegedly some things that seem to be sexual adjacent aren't necessarily sexual. So if it were me, I would just want to have some clarity on that, because you said like you didn't know that he was bi, and you mentioned some fetishes, but like he's just talking about like doing things for you non-sexually. So I would just want to clarify, like, look, what exactly is on the table here? What exactly are you offering or asking for? Just so that we're all clear and there's no misunderstandings. Because the thing about this kind of, you know, submissive, dominant, slave master type thing is you need to be very clear again on boundaries. You need to be very clear in an agreement of what is and is not okay. So if you thought that it was a sexual thing, or if you thought that he was going to be doing something for you, and then you're like, yeah, bitch, go do that because you're a fucking slave, and he's like, am I fucking what? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, equally, he might be expecting something of you that you then don't deliver. So it is a two-way thing, and I think, yeah, again, get clarity in that situation. Let's say, for example, you're all up for having a third or a slave or whatever, and it is a sexual thing. Should you be doing that with your roommate? If it were me, I wouldn't. Because then it's kind of like the three of you are already living together. Then it kind of seems like, I mean, it's the same if you were single and then you started dating your roommate. The thing just kicks off already in like a full-blown situation where you're already fucking living there, and you never have a break from one another. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is he always going to be on duty, like in your own space, your own house? Are you always going to have to be playing these roles? Or is it something that you're going to like switch on at some point? Or is it going to be like during certain times of the week? Or I don't fucking know. It just seems too complicated for me. Like, it kind of reminds me of, you know, like some people are okay dating their co-workers. Other people say, no, I don't want to mix business and pleasure. Do you want to mix home life and love life? Do you know what I mean? So I would just really consider that. And also, if like things go wrong or if it gets a bit awkward, you can't be like, yeah, maybe it's best if I leave, because you live in the same fucking place. You can't just go home because you're already at home. Do you know what I mean? So it takes a lot of options away from you in terms of being comfortable, relaxed, and in case something goes wrong. Because, you know, if something does go wrong, as you say, you've still got a year left on the lease with him. So what was your question? You just said give me advice. There was no question. So yeah, I would clarify, be really, really clear and upfront about what he's asking for, and then really have a think about the pros and cons of doing it specifically with your roommate. Because it sounds like you're open to having a slave. And also, like, figure out what your boundaries are as well before you do anything, because I think that it's quite a common thing for people who know about boundaries, respect boundaries, think they're a great idea, to focus only on the other person's boundaries and never think about their own. So I think that's something that you should think about as well, to also get clear in your own head and clear for him if you decide to go ahead. Then you know how things are going to play out. Because if you have then like good boundaries and like solid foundations, then it just makes everything else a lot better, because you understand, like, at the end of the day, these are our rules, and anything else on top of that is just for fun. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think about these little stories or whatever down below in the comments, if you agree with my advice or if you think that it's terrible advice and you would do something else. Let me know. You can check out some of my other videos if you feel like it. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye, bye bye.